The Greenfeeds case involved a double fatality of two individuals being overcome by fumes in a road tanker at a company that manufactured animal feed. It resulted in 2 corporate manslaughter charges, 4 gross negligence individual manslaughter charges, and some charges under Section 37 of the Health and Safety at Work Act, which relate to consent, connivance or neglect of a director. I attended the court for the whole of the 6-week period. I was quite surprised that the CPS wanted me to do that, because normally as an expert witness you just go along and give your evidence. So I saw the entire case, which was very educational. The circumstances were that staff were entering these tankers for cleaning them without any confined space precautions and had complained of the dangers to the management. They'd said to the management, we're feeling giddy when we come out, we need breathing apparatus, and they were told, if it costs money, you can't have it. The prosecution resulted in 2 corporate manslaughter convictions for the company. The company employed 32 people with a fine of £1 million each. The gross negligence manslaughter prosecutions against one of the senior managers, the wife of the MD, resulted in her being jailed for 13 years and disqualified as a director for 15 years. Her husband was prosecuted under Section 37 in jail for 20 months and disqualified as a director of 10 years. The key issues of this case were really gross negligence on behalf of the senior management, neglecting to react to employee complaints about the dangers of what they were doing, a total lack of procedures on confined space entry, which is an extremely dangerous activity unless you have the right procedures in place. Also, that they had a fatality 10 years earlier, which the judge referred to in the case and said to the wife of the MD, who was jailed for 13 years, you should have had clear notice of this 10 years ago when this happened. And I think the learning points for directors are, first of all, know what's going on. In a small company, know what's going on. In a large company, have effective systems of monitoring and reporting. Take action when there's previous issues, and don't ignore obvious hazards. The company was in clear breach of a whole stack of health and safety regulations and guidance. And I said in my report that the standards of health and safety were so poor that a fatality was virtually inevitable. That got quoted after the case by the police, and the judge said, I agree entirely with the evidence of Mr. Clements, as the jury must have done so when he was passing his sentencing remarks. The company had also had a health and safety consultant some years previously who had resigned from the position. And one of the things that came up in the evidence was that she said that she didn't know that the company was operating road tankers, which I found quite incredible. In addition, the company had not paid her bill. And the judge referred to this in the sentencing remarks when passing sentence and said this was clear evidence of the company cutting costs at the expense of health and safety. And that aggravated the sentence. It was an aggravating factor, causing an increase in sentence. But also it was quite illustrative from the health and safety consultant's point of view, because she was asked, well, if you were so concerned about the standards, did you speak to the managing director? Well, I saw him in passing. Well, did you write to him? Did you seek a meeting and say how concerned you were? And the answer was no, which is a real good point for any health and safety advisor or consultant, of making their advice clear, making it clear what the implications of failing to act on that advice are. The dangers were quite obvious and should have been obvious to that company, but that, in a sense, was something else which should have happened as well.